Within 60 seconds of meeting you, they already know. They know what you want. They know what you're afraid of. They know exactly which version of themselves to show you to make you trust them. You felt nothing unusual. Maybe you even felt unusually comfortable. Like this person just got you. Like you'd known them for years. That wasn't connection. That was assessment. Sociopaths don't read people the way most of us do. Slowly, carefully, with a margin for error. They read people the way a predator reads terrain. Instantly, completely. Looking for one thing. Where is the opening? This video is about how they do it. And more importantly, how to know if it's already happening to you. To understand how sociopaths read people, you first need to understand what makes them different at the neurological level. The term sociopath refers to antisocial personality disorder, a condition characterized by a persistent disregard for others, a lack of remorse, impulsivity, and a remarkable capacity for manipulation. Estimates suggest approximately 1 in 25 people have significant sociopathic traits. That's 4% of the population. Statistically, you have met several. Here is the key neurological difference. The average person processes social interaction through 2 simultaneous systems. The first is cognitive, analyzing what someone is saying, their body language, their context. The second is emotional, feeling what the other person is feeling. Empathy, mirror neurons firing, a visceral, automatic response to another person's emotional state. For sociopaths, that second system is significantly reduced or absent. And here is the counterintuitive part. That absence is not a weakness. In terms of reading people, it is a devastating advantage. Because when your own emotions are not being triggered by the other person, you can observe them with complete clarity. You are not distracted by sympathy. You are not confused by your own feelings. You are not filtering what you see through what you wish were true. You are simply watching, calculating, filing. A surgeon who is emotionally attached to their patient makes different decisions than one who is not. The detached surgeon sees the problem more clearly. The sociopath's emotional detachment functions the same way, except instead of surgery, the operating table is you. Tactic 1. The vulnerability scan. Within the first 60 seconds, they are looking for pain, not personality. The first thing a sociopath does when they meet you is not try to impress you. It's try to read you. Specifically, they are scanning for vulnerability, not weakness in the dismissive sense, vulnerability in the specific sense. What do you need that you're not getting? Where is the gap between who you are and who you want to be? What are you afraid of? What have you lost? They pick this up from micro signals most people miss. The way your eyes drop when a certain topic comes up. The way you fill silences with self-deprecating humor. The way you laugh slightly too quickly at their jokes. The way you give slightly too much detail about why your last relationship ended. They are not doing this consciously in the way you would plan something. For many, it is automatic, an ingrained pattern. They have been reading people this way since childhood, because for them, reading people wasn't a social skill. It was a survival mechanism, and they became very, very good at it. Tactic 2. Mirroring without feeling it. They reflect you back to yourself, and you mistake the reflection for connection. Once they have identified what you respond to, sociopaths become it. Mirroring is a well-documented social behavior. Most people do it unconsciously as a bonding mechanism. We match each other's posture, speech patterns, energy level. It creates rapport. It signals safety. Our brains interpret it as, This person is like me. This person is safe. Sociopaths mirror deliberately. They notice you're spiritual. They become curious about spirituality. They notice you value loyalty. They talk about loyalty constantly. They notice you've been betrayed. They manufacture a story about being betrayed too. What you experience is the rare feeling of being completely understood, of finding someone who just gets it, who sees the world the way you do, who has been through what you've been through. That feeling is the most effective manipulation tool that exists because it bypasses your defenses entirely. You cannot be skeptical of someone who feels like your mirror, and they know it. Tactic 3. The confession test. They tell you something personal early to see what you'll tell them back. Early in the relationship, often within the first few conversations, a sociopath will share something that feels surprisingly personal. A difficult childhood, a past betrayal, a moment of vulnerability that seems almost too honest for how little time you've spent together. This is not vulnerability. This is a test. The psychology behind it is called reciprocal disclosure. When someone shares something personal with us, we are socially programmed to share something personal back. It creates a sense of mutual trust, mutual exposure, mutual investment. What they just did is manufacture the feeling of trust, and in exchange, received real information from you. Real vulnerabilities, real fears, real history. They may not even remember what they told you 6 months later because it wasn't real to them, but they will remember what you said, because that was the point. Tactic 4. Reading micro-expressions. Your face tells them what your words are trying to hide. Micro-expressions are involuntary facial movements that last between 1/25th and 1/5 of a second. They are produced automatically by the emotional centers of the brain before the conscious mind can suppress them. And they tell the truth, even when everything else is lying. Most people are completely unaware of micro-expressions, both in others and in themselves. They flicker too fast. You feel something, suppress it, and believe you have successfully hidden it. Sociopaths, because they are not processing their own emotional responses during a conversation, have significantly more cognitive bandwidth available to observe yours. Research suggests individuals with high dark triad traits show superior ability to detect deception and read emotional states, precisely because they are not emotionally engaged themselves. When you said you were fine, they saw that you weren't. When you said you didn't care, they saw that you do. When you smiled and said you were happy for them, they saw what was underneath, and they filed it. Tactic 5. The provocation probe. They poke carefully to find out what makes you react. Sociopaths test people deliberately, systematically. Early in an interaction, they will say or do something slightly off, a small provocation, a mildly inappropriate comment, a gentle challenge to something you said. And then they watch. They are not doing this because they're clumsy or inappropriate. They are mapping your nervous system. Do you push back? Do you go quiet? Do you laugh it off? Do you get flustered? Do you apologize when you've done nothing wrong? Every response tells them something. The person who pushes back confidently requires a different approach than the person who goes quiet. The person who laughs nervously is signaling they'll tolerate more. The person who apologizes has just revealed they carry a sense of responsibility for other people's comfort. And that is a door. Most people never notice this is happening. The probe is subtle enough to feel like just the way some people talk. Edgy, maybe, a bit blunt, but not alarming. That's by design. Tactic 6. Identifying your need for approval. If you want them to like you, they already have what they need. Perhaps the most powerful read a sociopath makes is the simplest one. How much do you need to be liked? People who have a high need for approval are extraordinarily easy to manage, because approval can be given and withdrawn on command, and the person who needs it will reshape themselves again and again to try to get it back. Sociopaths identify this need within minutes. They give you intense, focused attention early on and watch how you respond. Do you light up? Do you lean in? Do you become more animated, more open, more giving? If the answer is yes, they have just identified the liver. From that point forward, approval becomes a tool, lavished when they want something, withheld when they want something else. And the person on the receiving end, without understanding what's happening, begins to organize their behavior around getting it back. This is the foundation of what psychologists call coercive control. And it begins with a read that took less than a minute. Here are the signs that what you thought was connection may have been assessment. The relationship moved fast, unusually fast. Within weeks, you felt closer to this person than people you'd known for years. They seemed to understand you immediately. They remembered specific things you'd said. They anticipated your needs. It felt like finally, someone who really sees you. Their stories about themselves were always slightly too perfect. They had suffered in exactly the ways that would resonate with you. Their values aligned with yours on everything that mattered. Their enemies were always clearly wrong. Their past was dramatic in ways that made you feel protective. You started editing yourself around them. Small things first. What you said, how you said it, what you admitted to feeling. Then larger things. You stopped mentioning certain friends. You started second-guessing your own reactions. You found yourself explaining and justifying things that required no explanation. When they were warm, everything felt possible. When they withdrew, you felt a specific, disproportionate anxiety, an urgency to fix whatever was wrong, even when you couldn't identify what you'd done. If any of this is landing, you are not imagining it, and you are not alone. Research consistently shows that people who have been targeted by sociopaths are not naive or foolish. They are often the most empathetic, loyal, and conscientious people in any room. Because those are exactly the qualities that make the manipulation work. The goal here is not to make you paranoid of every charming person you meet. Most charming people are simply charming. But there are specific things you can do that make you significantly harder to read, harder to manipulate, and harder to target. First, slow down intimacy. Not because people don't deserve your trust, but because trust should be built on evidence, not feeling. When a relationship moves unusually fast, that pace itself is information. Real connection doesn't require urgency. Urgency is a pressure tactic. Second, notice the pattern of good and bad. Warmth and withdrawal, approval and disapproval. If the cycle feels addictive rather than just difficult, pay attention to that. Healthy relationships are not perfectly smooth, but they don't feel like a game you're always losing. Third, protect your vulnerabilities. You do not need to share your deepest wounds with someone you have known for 3 weeks, no matter how safe they make you feel. Real intimacy is earned slowly. Anyone who makes you feel you owe them your pain early is extracting, not connecting. Fourth, trust your body over your mind. Sociopathic manipulation is specifically designed to override your conscious reasoning. Your nervous system is harder to fool. If you feel a persistent low-level unease around someone, even when you can't justify it intellectually, that signal is worth respecting. And fifth, perhaps the most important, maintain your outside relationships. Isolation is the most consistent tactic in coercive control. The moment someone begins to subtly separate you from your other people, that is the warning you cannot afford to miss. Now that you know the 6 tactics, here is how to use that knowledge practically, starting today. The first thing you can do is audit your own patterns. Go back through the 6 tactics and honestly ask, which of these am I most vulnerable to? Is it the vulnerability scan? Do you share too much too soon? Is it the need for approval? Do you change your behavior based on whether someone seems pleased with you? Knowing your specific vulnerability is the first line of defense. The second practice is something called information fasting. For the next 30 days, make a deliberate choice about what you share and with whom, based on the length of time you've known them and the evidence they've given you, not based on how safe they make you feel. Those are different things. Safety is a feeling. Trust is a track record. Third, start paying attention to pace. Any relationship that is moving unusually fast is asking you to trust before trust has been earned. Real connection is not urgent. Urgency is a pressure tactic, even when it doesn't feel like one. And the most important thing, stay connected to the people in your life who knew you before. Isolation is the final and most effective tool of coercive control. If someone in your life, consciously or not, is gradually reducing your access to the people who love you, that pattern matters more than any feeling they've given you. You are not naive for having been read. You are human. Now you're also informed. Here is what's true. Sociopaths are very good at what they do. They have been practicing since before they understood what they were doing, and the tactics work because they are built on real psychological needs that all of us have. The need for connection, the need for understanding, the need to be seen. You cannot fully protect yourself by becoming cold, or suspicious of everyone, or closed, because that's not living. And the goal was never to make you afraid. The goal is awareness. Because awareness changes the game entirely. A tactic only works in the dark. The moment you can see it, name it, recognize it, trace it, it loses most of its power. You cannot be made to feel crazy about something you understand. You cannot be manipulated by a move you can see coming. Now you can see it. And that changes everything. If this gave you something you needed, subscribe.